In this video, we'll be looking at how to print the content of an array list using the for each loop, which is also known as an enhanced for loop. Okay, so this is the class that we have from video 91. It's actually got 3 fields and a constructor. And those are the generated getters and setter methods that we let Eclipse generate for us. We've also got a play method, and we've also got a toString method. And so what we want to do is we want to write another class that is got a collection of objects of this class. And so the instance variables of this class is called instruments. It's a private list, and within the constructor of this class, instruments, we create an instance of an array list. And then we've also got an add method, add instrument method, which takes a parameter, an argument as an instrument, which is this class. Okay, so that's about it. So what we want to do is we want to write up a method that prints the contents of this array list. So we'll declare our method public, and it's a void, it doesn't return anything. And we'll call this something relevant to what it's actually doing, which is to print instruments. So all of the instruments, all of the objects that are sitting in this array list. So for each loop, what we'll do is we'll use the keyword for, and here would be the data type of the object we're trying to loop. Also the data type of the object that's sitting in that list. And here would be the name of the item that is sitting in the array list. And this could be any name, but I'll make this a bit also relevant. I'll call this instrument. Then you put a colon, and then would be the array list that you're trying to traverse or loop through. Okay, so then what we'll do is we want to print the contents out, print line, and we only want to print one item at a time. And so that's it. It's as simple as that. Now, this is printing the object. The object is an instrument of this class that is sitting in an array list called instruments. Okay, but here we are printing the object representation that is sitting in this class. So it is important that we have the toString method so that we print a string representation of this class. So this actually will call this line, will call the toString method that is sitting in this class. If you don't have a toString method, something else will print. Some hash value will print out, so that's not what you want. Okay, now let's give this class a test and make sure that it actually works. So I'm going to right click on the package and then go to new, and I'm going to create a new class. I'm going to call this instrument driver. You can call it whatever you want, but maybe a demo, or and I also would like a main method to be sitting in that class. Over here, what first thing we'll do is we'll create an instance of the instruments class. Notice that we've actually got instrument. This will be one object that will have a name, a manufacturer, and a price. And then we have an instruments class, which is a collection, which will hold a collection of instruments. And then we have an instrument driver. So we want an instance of the instruments class. And so to do that, we will use the name of this class to create an instance of it. The name of the instance can be anything of your choice, but always make it related to what you want. So this is an instrument list is equal to new instrument. So this will call the constructor of this class. It will create an array list of instruments. The type here is instrument, which is this class. Next, what we want to do is we want to create instances of the instrument class. So now we want to create 3, or as much as you like, but I'd like to make 3 objects of this class. The first one, so instrument, would be a guitar. New instrument. And the constructor of this class takes 3 arguments: the name, the manufacturer, both as strings, and then it takes a price as a double. So the first name of our object would be a guitar, and the manufacturer, let's just say Martin, and the price would be $2,000. Let's create another one and a third. That would be a piano. Object name would be similar, lowercase. The manufacturer can be Yamaha, and the price, say piano is a bit more pricey, and I'm making up the prices, by the way, so I'm not sure if I'm being accurate in any way. And the drum would be $3,000. Okay, so we created instances of the instrument class. Now we would like to add the instruments. They are the instruments to the list. And so to do that, we'll use the name of our list. We'll call up the add instrument. Now the add instrument method will come to this class, takes an argument of type instrument. So I'm going to add a guitar first. I will copy this line, paste it 3 times. Now add the piano, and then add the drum. Now as soon as we add them, we get rid of that warning that says the object hasn't been used. Last thing we want to do is to print the instruments. And so to do that, we'll use the reference to this class, the reference that we created, which is instrument list dot print instruments. That's it. Let's give this a quick run and see how it works. And we've got our 3. And so this is a call to the toString method, and I feel like that new line is not necessary, so I'm going to get rid of it. Let's run this again. It looks a bit neater, but it's really up to you how you'd like to print this out. So the name, guitar, piano, drum, the manufacturer, and I feel like that should also be a dot, because we sort of capitalized things there. And the price, so everything is being printed out accurately. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. We could put a $sign there. Sorry, that's not a $sign. I'll put a $sign, and that would sort of give us some sort of a currency to our yeah, just a $sign, I guess. Yeah, so this is pretty much it to how we can actually use a for each loop to print the contents of our array list. In this video, we will print the contents of an array list using Java 8 streams. In the previous video, we demonstrated how we can use for each loop to print the content of an array, but now we will be using streams. Okay, so I've written the steps to what we will be doing. It's not very difficult, but it's just got some explanation on what will be done. The first thing we want to do is to create a stream from the list, and to do that we use the name of our list dot stream. And now what we have is we've actually got a stream And what that means is we've actually got a sequence of elements that can be processed sequentially. And we can now perform, we will perform the for each, which is a terminal operation on the stream that we created. So for each. And so the for each is a terminal operation that we can use on the stream to perform an action on each element in the list. So we want to specify what that action is. So what we're saying here is for each element in the list, perform that action. But we haven't got any action yet. We'll do that by following steps 3 and 4. So the action to perform on each element is, what we want to do is use a lambda expression. And that lambda expression takes instrument as an argument. So we'll start with instrument. And a lambda expression is an anonymous function. And what we're saying here is this actually, so this would be the argument, and this would be, the arrow just separates the argument from the body of the function. And so here we want to print the instrument within the body of the lambda expression. And so we'll create open and curly brace, and we want to do the exact same thing that we did in the for each loop, which was just to basically print a string representation of the object, which will call the toString method of our instrument class. Okay, don't forget the semicolon to finish off. And that's it, that's the stream. And let's run our class. So what we'll talk about the instrument driver here. We created an ArrayList. Sorry, we created an instance of this class, which will itself call the constructor and create an ArrayList for this class as the instance variable. We then created 3 instruments of this class. We created the guitar, piano, and the drum. We added them to our instrument list using the add instrument method, and then we printed them out. So nothing changes in this class. We've only changed the way we're printing things out within this print instruments method, so that when we run the program, it should work exactly the same. Let me just sort of make this slightly bigger. Oh, I should have. So I need to comment this out so that we can actually tell. But it's pretty much the same if you look at it before we run again. Yeah, so it's very identical. Nothing changes. We've just changed the way we're printing things out. Streams. I forgot the R. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more ways on how we can print the element of an array list. We'll now learn how to print the content of an array list using a lambda expression. So here we spoke about how we can create a stream and print the content of an element of an array list using the stream. However, if you did want to utilize a stream, you can actually use just the lambda expression. And to do that, I'm going to copy the same lines that we did for the stream and just get rid of the stream. And that's pretty much it. So that's a lambda expression. What's happening here is the lambda expression is an anonymous function, and that's the input, which is the argument here, that's the instrument, and the arrow separates the argument from the body of the function. So that's the body of the function, and that's it. It works pretty much the same. Nothing changes over here. I'm going to run, and we actually get the content of the list printed twice. The first one's coming from the stream, so I'm going to comment it out, and the second one is coming from the lambda expression. And that's it. Stay tuned for one more way on how we can print the content of the array list. Using the method reference operator is another way to print the content of an array list. Let's demonstrate how that's being done. So I'm going to comment this one out, the lambda expression, and using the method reference operator, we will use the for each loop of the instruments array list, so the for each loop method. And so what we want to do is we want to iterate over the elements, and what we will be passing in here would be the method reference, and that would be system.out, and then the method reference operator is the double colon over here, and print line. That's it. That's pretty much it. If I run the program, it will work exactly as it did for the other methods that we've commented out here: the lambda expression, the stream, and the for each loop. So yeah, so this is the system.out and the reference operator print line. This is the method reference, and it refers to the print line method of the print stream class, which is system.out. And that's pretty much it. We'll also be demonstrating how to print the content of an array list using traditional for loops. So going down to our print instruments method, we'll scroll all the way down. We'll comment out the one we demonstrated in the previous video, which was the method reference operator. And we'll talk about how to use the traditional for loops. So we'll create an index, that's an integer. Now the array list is got 3 instances. It's got a guitar, a piano, and a drum. So we'll start from the first index to access the first element, and we'll stop when the instruments dot size, sorry, I spelled size wrong. So when the size is actually 3, but we would loop when I is less than 3. And sorry, we'll stop when I is still less than 3. So when I becomes 3, this condition will be false, because 3 is not less than 3, it's actually equal to 3. So that's perfect, that's what we want. And I realize I called it index, not I. So out of nowhere, that's just not going to make sense. And so what we want to do is up a system.print, but instead of an instrument, we don't really have an instrument, so we can, and that should be index plus. So what we can do is we can create the instrument, okay, and we'll call it instrument, and it will be equal to instruments, and we'll use the get method of, so the get method of the instruments array list, and just pass in the index. So this will actually return the object that's sitting at that index, and the object is of type instrument. And so now we can capture the result in an instrument data type, and then just print that out. So that should be it. And we still get the same results here. If you wanted to make this one slightly shorter, so it's up to you how you want to do this, but if you can directly just get the index, and that will print the object that's sitting in that index. And remember, this is actually the instrument object, and so this is a call to the toString method. So we can conclude the different ways we've demonstrated how to print the content of array from videos 92 to 96. The first one was using the for each loop, which is an enhanced. It's also called an enhanced for loop. We also used streams to print the content of the array, so we commented it out. And we also we can actually uncomment them out and print some details there. So this one would be for each loop, using for each loop. And here we use the stream, so let's uncomment using streams. Here we've used lambda expressions. Let's uncomment it out. And here we've used the method reference operator. So and let's uncomment this one out. And finally we used the traditional loop. Using traditional for loop. A traditional. One more thing. I'd like to print a separator there. Just to sort of kind of separate the output, because there's going to be a bunch of duplication of output going on there. Let's run the program and let's make this a bit bigger. So this is using for each loop, the enhanced for loop, using streams, using a lambda expression, using the method reference operator, and then using a traditional loop, a for loop. That's it. This concludes our series, and I hope this was helpful to you, and I'll see you in future ones. Thank you so much.